I'm super up for this. So this is well heralded. We've all been waiting on something for Hawthorn, something of which to latch onto, and a title for it. So you bring us the empty nesters.
The empty nesters. Well, we're going to take a bit of a deep dive on the Hawks because I've seen them live the last couple of weeks, and prior I hadn't seen them live too many times. And we showed the Carlton result, but I looked at more Carlton's defence and how poor that was. But I thought we'd take a bit of a deep dive on the Hawks and what they've been doing so well. So we're going to take a look at their offence. So these were their numbers up until round 17 on offence. And you can see that they were improving through the middle part of the year. They were coming from a long way back at the first sort of 8 rounds of the season. It improved through the middle part of the year. But you can see the last 6 or so weeks, they have exploded offensively. They are now the best offensive team in the competition. We've all acknowledged that, and the numbers speak for themselves. So I thought I'd take a look at why and what they are doing differently and why they are scoring so well, so efficiently and so effectively. And when I was at the game, it caught my eye, so I went back and had a look. So I wanted to talk about the empty nesters. Just watch Hawthorn's ability to get out of the corridor and use the full width of the ground. So what they do is when they win the ball back at half-back, their half forwards go wide to the wing and their deep forwards retreat. So you can see they've almost got this perimeter, almost like a U shape, and it opens up so much space through the corridor. So if the opposition go out with them, they bring the ball back in. So they come in and then they've got all this space going through the corridor, and they get really quick and enter. So same again. So here they roll up, as you do to defend. As soon as they win the ball, watch them break. They empty the nest. Out they go. Out to the left of screen. The half forwards and the wings all break. The forwards retreat. So what does it do? It opens up the corridor. They see the space and they take it. And Geordie, this you can come with me here because it might look familiar and something that looks like what you've seen before. But then all of a sudden they stuff around with it. Warple, you have to break a couple of tackles first, and they get it. And then there's one more look of the same sort of stuff. This time, straight away they're forwards. They win the ball back. They identify we want to get out of the nest. We want to retreat. So they clear the area. So that's why when people are watching at home, they go, how do Hawthorn end up with 2-3 players inside their forward 50? Because if the opposition are playing a pressing defence, which Richmond do and Carlton did the week before, it only takes them to be slightly off. There's all this space and they're out. But then this is the example where it's the opposite right now. So the same play. They win the footy back, they switch, and straight away their immediate action is to get out of the nest, clear it out and open the space. But Richmond have learnt, they go, right, we've got to clog up the corridor. Hey, boys, they're going through the corridor. So look out to the right of screen. What do Hawthorn do? They take what they're given. They can't go through the corridor, so they just use the width and say, right, you're going to overcompensate. We'll just go width, chip over the top, and all of a sudden they're inside 50 again. So it's fascinating to me. It's really clear to see. It's really obvious, and it's really effective.
Hard to defend. Like when you look at that angle and you see how big they always talk about coaches. When you've got the ball, try and make the ground as big as you possibly can. When they've got to try and make it as small, they are making the ground nearly undefendable. By the way, you're right. The way they run it and the way they ask questions of the defender. Do I go with him? Or do I know they want to come back into the corridor? Do I stay there? It's an interesting way. A great vision.
Yeah, that's awesome vision.
Bloody hard to defend.
So what's the answer? Have you got an answer?
I haven't half-back.
What do you do if you're half-back? You have to break with them out wide and you leave the corridor open. If you just corral into the corridor, you're just giving them the width. And we've seen Dylan Moore and Ginnivan all year just get to the outside, get it and overlap. And so just some of the numbers that back it up. They're third in the competition, Hawthorn, for marks on the lead inside 50. But through the middle part of the ground, they're 16th. So their forwards don't lead up at the footy. They retreat. Get away, get out, open up all the space, and that allows Impey and Weddle to run through there in the mids, and then
empty the nest,
and away they go. So watch out for the opposition teams now, how you can try and I don't have the answer yet how you can defend it, and I don't think anyone has yet, Jared. That's why they've been playing the way they have for nearly 3 months.
So what does it look like in September?
It's going to be scary. They should just keep rolling, particularly at the MCG. I think the big ground, as Geordie touched on, they want the bigger ground. So they'll probably get the MCG first week. From there, who knows? But they're going to be hard to stop.
Tried to do that at Castlemaine last week.
The ground wasn't big enough.
A few problems.
A bit stiff.
That's awesome, mate.
All right, a bit of empty nesters. You're going with the Cats here?
Well, I'm going with what we've learnt over the last few years since the buys come in pre-finals, and there's always been, on average, one team go out in straight sets. Now, I'm not necessarily saying it's the Cats, but when I looked at this and having looked through the profiles of teams, it smacks you that this team has been unbelievable so far in what they've been able to achieve. And it wouldn't surprise me if they were the team this year to go out in straight sets. And we'll get to the reasons why in a minute. But it will happen. I think it will happen because the competition and most who watch the game closely are saying that 5, 6 and 7 are as good a teams as what 1, 2, 3, 4 are. And in really good health and just need opportunity. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a straight set this year. Now, if it is to beat Geelong, we don't celebrate teams that drop out. We don't. In fact, we're the opposite. We're pretty critical of them. But I just want to celebrate the Cats in terms of what they've been able to do with what they've had at hand. And we talk about the coach a lot, but we don't really delve into the numbers when they read average. So he's achieved, have a look at the core 4 profile, so with the footy, without it, clearance and post-clearance contest work. So this is in simple terms, your balance sheet. Average through the season, except for being brilliant without the footy. And that's probably the number one measure. And in the last 6 weeks, that profile there is not the profile of a finals team, let alone a top 4 team. So I say well done and congratulations to all involved. This guy's able to move the magnets around of 3 or 4 players to get the game played the way he wants it to be played. And it doesn't work every week, and they can run a ground in given games, and Stewart's not best on ground every week, and neither's Cameron, and neither's Dangerfield, but the 3 of them, and Myers is a small part of that as well, are able to do what he needs them to do in key moments. And just game sense and know how it kicks in. So if you look at their ability to score from intercepts, and this is the concern since round 18, the last 6 weeks, they're 18th in the competition. They're poor in terms of the differential, which is probably the number one indicator to success, guys, as you all know. And only Melbourne are least likely to turn an intercept into a score the last 6 weeks. So I'm amazed they're where they are. And I say it is down to coaching. So then it sort of makes me look forward and say, OK, if you're in a final series with a wealth of talent against this group, you want to be winning. Because if not, fair likelihood the problem's in the coach's box. We're talking about big games, big moments, big opportunities in September. Because if you look at the experience of the group, and there's different levels of experience. You don't all of a sudden play 100 games and they give you a badge and say you're now experienced, right? If you've played 300 games, you're no more experienced than the 100-gamer, really. 150, 200, does it make a massive difference? So I have a look at this. So the 0 to 30 gamers are the ones that can really cost you games. We saw Shadow Brain last week. Just get the positioning wrong at a stoppage. Collingwood get a goal, game over. You probably lose because of a moment. Growth, yep, absolutely. Hard lesson, yep. But that's what you get with young players. He's doing it with more young players, that's just last round's numbers, than what the others are. So drive into the game, you think, I've got 6 problems here I've got to worry about. The 0 to 30 is what they're going to give me, what are they going to do, how are they going to perform. So he's doing all of this, I think, on the back of some key leaders, some pretty set rules and non-negotiables, unbelievable standards. We rarely put errors from Geelong on the screen. We rarely say this cost them the game, this action cost them the game, this structure cost them the game. I can't remember the last time we did that about Geelong. I really can't. So they're well drilled. They love the big moments. Their leaders lead 8 out of 10 every week, regardless of whether they deliver themselves or whether they're instructing and guiding. And I just think their coach is panels above the rest. And I think if that's not evidence to say he is absolutely the best coach in the competition, well, I don't know what is.
Does it highlight their reliance on the stars? I mean, you speak about the inexperience. Like when this Geelong side probably doesn't play as well, it is those stars that have either been tagged or not played as well. It goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I think what he does is he forces you to beat their best. Which is, I mean, if you're the coach, that's probably all you can ask for, isn't it? Hey, you want to beat us? Go and beat Dangerfield. You want to beat us? Worry about what we're doing with Stewart. You know, it's the art of coaching. It's just pushing and probing the other coach's box. What are you going to do here? What are you going to do now? What are you going to do here?
Setting up for his stars. Cameron,
Absolutely.
go and play on a wing today. Cameron, we need you deep. You know, it's Stewart. They've done it. We've seen it all year.
So we've rarely put Geelong under the microscope for costing themselves a game. They don't shoot themselves in the foot. They don't. So I think we've got to recognise it. And I'm not saying they're going out in straight test. It wouldn't surprise me if they do. Someone will. And they may cause someone to. But I'm just looking at it saying, OK, of the teams that, you know, you look at their profile, you say, yeah, that's a top 4 profile, and they've got 6 to 8 guys in good form or bona fide stars. They don't have that.
Yeah, so doing the most with the least.
Yeah,
in our
spot on.